0, 1, 2, 3. Let's get started.
Oh, that's real good.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Wonderful Pair, where two travel agents, yes, two of us, with very different perspectives collide. I'm Jess, queen of couples travels, and this is Tracy, the magical mama conquering family travel with a sprinkle of chaos. We're bringing you unique insights and experiences, whether you're dreaming of a child-free adventure or planning a family vacation, which, Tracy, again, for take two, we'll try this again, but you are on vacation, it looks like.
Yes, I am in beautiful Panama City Beach. I am very lucky to have family that live in gorgeous places. So they allow us to come and stay and spend quality time together. So it's lovely. After this, we're going to go visit my parents and my brother and my cousin in the Pensacola, Fort Walton Beach, Navarre area. So looking forward to
for the holiday.
We're here through the holiday, but then, I like my kids to see their grandparents, and I don't really get to see my family since most of them live in Florida. So we spend, the majority of our summer here with them.
Oh, well, it's so fun. Well, I'm kind of living vicariously through you, even though I just got off my own cruise, which is what
I saw the pictures. They looked gorgeous.
I have not even started dumping a lot, I think. So Mr. Team Labo and I, we just got off the Norwegian Getaway on Sunday. We got to see you all on the first half of the trip. So
I know, that was so fun.
Our agency put together this Broadway to Bermuda cruise. So we had a group rate, and we have had this booked for, I want to say, like 499 days, like as far out as you possibly can. Norwegian made some changes to their onboard more at sea program. So we basically got grandfathered. We had some great pricing for a balcony. So we went, me and Mike, me and my husband, and my mom and her best friend decided to come as well. So we did the whole Broadway to Bermuda. We flew into New York, got to see you guys for a little bit for dinner. Thank you, by the way, for making reservations. Tracy took care of it and kept texting.
We had a great time.
Where to go. She took care of us. She even took the train in from her city in the
New Jersey,
because we were in Manhattan. So we stayed in right in the theater district. So we found this amazing hotel. It's called the Ameritania. It is not part of a chain, but we wanted location, and we were literally around the corner from the Ed Sullivan Theater, where Colbert does his night show, the late night show, and then we were down the street from Studio 54, the original
it looked really like a really cute little boutique hotel.
It was fabulous. Good location. I want to say under 200 a night for
that's a bargain for New York City, especially when you guys were being so close to everything.
It was so fabulous. Right around the corner. They have a fitness center, but the Crunch Fitness is around the corner. We had a $1.50 pizza down the way. Great, good pizza. But we
really was it though for $1.50?
Oh,
was it good?
Absolutely, it was amazing. We went back twice.
I mean, I feel like you can't really go wrong with pizza in New York anywhere, but
we absolutely loved it. But yeah, we were there on Friday, had dinner with you guys, and then Saturday we woke up and did the Metropolitan Museum of Art after going. I think we had breakfast at Pret a Manger that first day. Because my mom's friend has a little bit more dietary restrictions. And so I was going to go try to find a really good New York bagel, but that wasn't in the cards. So we ended up grabbing whatever, Pret, which is fine. But wandered around the museum, took all the photos, and then I think we came back and we had the 150 pizza. The cool thing was the Ameritania has a happy hour, kind of like Embassy Suites does. From 5, they have a bar, so from 5 to 6, they have a free glass of wine. So
that was awesome.
Mike and I got our pizza, and I grabbed my free glass of wine, and she goes, "Are you going to take it to the room?" And I go, "Yeah." She goes, "Oh, I have to give it to you in plastic." I said, "Even better." So instead of a wine glass, I got a plastic cup.
You just had the cheapest meal, maybe like not only in New York City, but maybe everywhere.
Highly recommend. Highly recommend. It was amazing. So we will be going and reliving the trip day by day. I'm going to start posting today, I think, just to showcase all we have. So if people follow us on social for Team Labo, we'll post stuff there. We also have a new Facebook group that our agency is putting together about cruising. So I'm going to kind of like come up with some
tips. Our agencies, we're getting it together with the Facebook group. So definitely be on the lookout for that. And it's something we're really looking forward to and facilitating. Yeah. So
we'll be in there answering. Yeah, we'll be in there answering questions.
Ask questions. Yep.
So we love staying in
I'm dying to know. I'm dying to know. How was it? How were the views? How was it cruising out of New York City?
Oh my gosh. Okay. So Sunday morning we wake up and so just for those that don't know, like Mike and we've sailed Virgin Voyages, we've sailed Carnival back in the day, and we've sailed most recently Disney. Mike actually sailed on the original Norway, the original Norwegian cruise line, the original boat that was bought as an ocean liner from a French cruise ship. I don't remember it, but it is a very, very old ship. He sailed Norwegian back in the day that all of our old travel agents are like, how are you old enough to sail on this? He was in high school. They put him on a cruise. But this is our first time doing Norwegian. And so everything is just, the brands are different. Everybody does things a smidge differently. Disney is so regimented about when you get to arrive at the port. Norwegian is like, you tell us, and you just show up. So we got a car. Like we walked out of, it's New York City, right? We're in Manhattan. We walk out with our limited bags. We didn't take a whole lot of stuff. And we literally the doorman flags down a cab for us. Fabulous. We could have walked. We could have. But we're Midwesterners.
Amazing.
So you get to the cruise terminal. We ended up forgetting all of our bag tags. They had extras. But literally, we were through into like waiting, through security and through ID checks and whatever in like 20 minutes. And then we were seated waiting, and I'm texting our group chat of the couple of agents that went with us, and Jillian goes, "Turn to your right." And we had all gathered there, so we got to meet the kids and hang out with them a bit.
I just love cruising with the first time we ever cruised. It was a big multi-generational cruise, and then we didn't cruise again until 20 some odd years later. And we cruised with our family, and Jim and I's family, and I just said, like, next time we cruise, we have to go with someone.
We do. Hey, let us know.
Ever.
Hey, I got some ideas for you, but we'll look at it. But it was it was relatively easy. We got onto the ship. There was some weird delay with the jet. I don't know. It's not a jet bridge. The thing that actually gets you onto the gangway. That's the word. So that was a little bit of a delay. But once we were on the ship, all the bars were open. You actually get your cruise card at check-in instead of at your room like Disney. So we had our cruise card, so I could go dress up to the bar. The interesting thing is the way Norwegian does it is you go straight to muster. They're like, once you're on the ship, you go straight to muster. They scan your card. They're like, okay, now you can go.
Okay, get it over with. That's nice.
Yep. So we got a drink, and we found our other friends, our agency owners, so John and Shelley on board. And then kind of wandered for a bit. I think we went to the buffet, which was overwhelming. I always tell myself, don't do the buffet on the first day. And what do? I do the buffet on the first day. And I'm like, wait in line for the sit down and just enjoy sitting on the cruise. So we were leaving. So you asked about the views, which is my long way of getting to sailing out of New York Harbor down the Hudson. It's so cool. So our balcony happened to be on the correct side. Awesome. So we saw Lady Liberty as we went through.
Oh, that's amazing.
It was the coolest thing. Like it was very, very cool. And then you pass under the bridge, and it's like Mike says that we have plenty of room, but it looked like we were doing this. Like,
oh my goodness.
It was so cool. And then we were off to the races. So our cruise was sailing out of New York Harbor. And of course, yes, I think Hamilton every time I say that. So you're out of New York Harbor, and then you're that day, that Sunday, all day Monday, all day Tuesday, all on the water. It's all at sea. And then we got in, I think we cleared customs at like 8, I think on Wednesday. But there were so many things to do. Norwegian still does the printed, I don't know, what do you call it? The Navigator is on Disney. What do they call it? The Freestyle Daily. The info.
Oh, they do like a printed cruise itinerary, like a daily schedule. Like, yeah.
Yep. And it arrived in the room. It was great. We did we did trivia. We did do the presentation on like the new ships just to kind of see like what else is coming. We had dinner in the main dining rooms. We had specialty dining at Le Bistro, which is the French restaurant, and Cagney's, which is the steak restaurant. Tried all the dining rooms, tried all of the included dining, including the noodle shop, which the noodle Shanghai's was reservation only, but it's included with your cruise fare. Because we booked it so early. We booked it like 499 days. We got a group cruise rate, which was lovely. But we also got what they now call More at Sea. Originally, there was a different name. But it's basically your beverage package. So only things that are included are water and coffee, like drip coffee, drinks, booze, and anything at the bar is all, and sodas are all add-ons. So our More at Sea package included a drink up to $15, and I could get 2 of them per card at every transaction. So most of the time I just presented a card and it was either me and Mike or it was me and Mom's double Baileys at night, because that was a thing, or our espresso martinis. I don't know what they put in their espresso martinis, but everybody was drinking them all week long. It was great.
Those are my favorite.
They're amazing. But we were able to, so we got the drinks, we got free Wi-Fi when it worked. That's
a really huge perk. Wi-Fi is expensive on cruise ships.
But it was only the basic Wi-Fi and only one device.
So it didn't work that well.
And Mike, so for those that don't know, Mike is also an attorney, in addition to being a travel agent with us. And he has privacy issues for his clients. And so I don't know if this is a rule or whatever, but he has his business. He wants a VPN. So he had to buy the updated package, the highest one. And half of the time it didn't work.
Oh, that's a shame.
Which is disappointing. The Wi-Fi also, like, we went back and forth. I tried to get it on my phone. It really wasn't working. So in theory, we had 150 minutes on our phones or our laptops. And then it included the 2 specialty dinings and a $50 shore excursion credit for the first passenger in the room. Okay. So it was a nice package. I think we made our money's worth of the drink package. I think at some point I counted 6 during the day, and I was like, I might need to slow down.
Did you add up, like, even with the gratuities? Did you add up, like, because you have to prepay the gratuities? So
you do. I would need to go back to look at that number, but because the More at Sea package was included,
it was worth it.
Yeah, like, we got a really good deal. When I look at a future client, we have someone, I think I was telling you, that's going to the Mediterranean, and I'm comparing a couple of options. I'm adding the More at Sea package because I want that in there. It adds a lot, but we found, overall, we liked Norwegian. Overall, it was okay. The food was okay. Better at specialty dining, best steak ever. It rivals the 1923 steak on the Wish I got at the bistro in the French restaurant. Amazing. It's a little annoying to, like, every time you go to specialty or even the sit down dining, you have to hand them your cruise card. I'm like, but I handed you my cruise card when I got to the restaurant. Can't you just know who to tag it to? But I mean, if you're going to have more than a drink a day, I think
it's worth it.
It probably makes sense. It just kind of opens a tab. It makes it feel very all-inclusive. It's different than Virgin, which you have a bar tab and it, like, starts dinging your bar tab and you start, spending it down. On the Virgin cruise, had to sign every time I got a drink. That's kind of annoying. Like, that's why I like Sandals. That's why I like Beaches. That's why I like those. It's all-inclusive. When you walk up, it's part of your cruise fare because you pay for the package. Versus Virgin or Disney, where I have to sign and I have to see the number every time. I liked this. Hey, if it's under $15, and most of it was, I mean, Tracy, it's like Bombay Sapphire was a well drink. What other levels? Some of the Florida kind of like 4-year-old rum is a well drink. Like, we're not talking about crappy no-name liquor. Like, it was a legit.
That's awesome. That's amazing. That's a good value then.
I think so. So we drank our way around the ship, tried all the different cruises. They have a mojito bar, which is lovely. They have a
mojito bar.
They have a mojito bar, all kinds of fun, different ones. They had the best thing. One of the last nights we did. I'll talk about Bermuda in a minute, but the ship itself, they have one of those ice bars.
Oh yes, I've seen them.
Where you go in and like it's so everything is cool. You're like literally going into a cooler. But for us in the Midwest, I mean, they said it was like -17 C, and I was like, what is that in normal Fahrenheit, please? Something about like just under 20 degrees. So for us, it felt like winter.
Wow.
Like it was fine. But they serve you drinks like infused vodka or whatever. They serve it to you in a ice glass, right? A ice shot glass basically, but in a plastic cup. They give you parkas and like there's ice sculptures. There's ice.
Is this like Royal Caribbean? Are these like robots, or they're actual individuals that have to stay in there and serve you?
Correct. It's an actual human being that like you walk in and he's got a parka on. He's got his hat.
That would not be my favorite part.
Well, they're pre-batched.
My go-to job on the cruise. I hate the cold.
So this is funny talking to you, from the beach, but they're pre-batched and like you just pour, you get one. So it is a $15 per person, and there is a non-alcoholic version as well. You have to be 5 and up to do it. They recommend closed-toed shoes. But it's like a 20-minute experience that was not included in our beverage package, which, is an experience, I guess. But we got a discount on it. So it ended up being like $12 a person. And we were like, when else are we going to go do a silly ice capade situation?
Yeah,
there was a throne. There was a throne made of ice with like a polar bear throne. It was hilarious. So
that is awesome.
We enjoyed that. But the cruise was good. It was a good value. I don't know if you want to sail Norwegian and not get the beverage package, because I did not see almost, I would say 90% of the adults had the cruise package. They all had
the beverage package, you mean? Yeah. Mm-hmm. What was the water like? I've never been on the Atlantic, so all the cruises I've done have been.
Yeah. So we were coming out of New York. We went basically down again. Bermuda is like on the parallels of the Carolinas. You're not in the Caribbean. So we were like in the pure Atlantic, and we were lucky. The captain came on the last cruise, on the last like goodbye day, and was like, "Whoever brought the good weather, thank you," because the week before it had been super choppy. So we lucked out. It was even. It was lovely. The last day, like on that day at sea on like 5 o'clock on Saturday, we went back to our room and we were in a fog cloud for like hours. I have never heard them blow the foghorn on the cruise ship.
Wow. And
they were blowing it for hours because we were in, so we opened the door, right? And we're expecting to see water. And we look like we're in a cloud. I don't think I have a video of it, but I have a video of us on the balcony. But you look out and you cannot see, and there's condensation on the railing. You cannot see I couldn't see the water. And we were on deck 13. I could not see the water.
Wow.
It was the nuttiest thing. But the weather was great. Like we got to Bermuda on Wednesday morning. I will say that we learned something. 4 shore excursions in 3 port days is not a good idea. We were a little overwhelmed. We did a lot. We've never been to Bermuda. It is a UK overseas territory, so everybody speaks English. The accents are, Jim would love it. Like the accents, like as a theater person, I was like, this is amazing. I just love hearing. So there's no indigenous population. There is no natural fresh water. There are no natural animals other than like birds. Like there's no like mammals, there's no pigs, everything has to be brought to the island.
Wow.
Everything is, it is in the middle of nowhere. I mean, there's a reason why they basically said the Portuguese, we think, found it in like the 1520s, something like that. There's like a little rock that says the year, but other than that, the British came in and basically held it for, strategic reasons. So everybody there is a UK citizen. Most people go off island, you know, for like advanced degrees and stuff, and then maybe come back. But Bermuda was, it was beautiful. It was, for us here in Missouri, is actually closer than Hawaii. It's a little bit closer than some of the Caribbean islands. It's a little bit more expensive, but it is a different vibe. It's very chill. I thought Jamaica was chill. Bermuda is like, it's really hard to describe, but it is just chill. Everybody was the sweetest people. We met so many nice people. There's only 3 roads on the island. It's a big island that kind of does like a hook around with a big sound. So lots of water sports, lots of boats. The first day we did an island tour, saw the, oh God, what do you call it? The lighthouse from like the 1820s, and saw the bunches of forts, right? There's forts everywhere. It's a strategic island. We toured. The next day we went snorkeling after we did the tour. We did snorkeling, and then we did a sunset sail around the island, and it just on a catamaran, and it was gorgeous. And I'll tell you a story about that in a minute. And then the next day we did the caves and waves, and that one we actually did through Norwegian because we had the credit. It is basically like, it's a cavern that has 50 to 60 feet of water in it, and these beautiful like stalactites and mites, and it's just, they put up.
Wow! I did something like that in Mexico years ago for our honeymoon. It was incredible.
It was so cool. So we were put on a little boat, driven around, or on a little bus and driven around, and the caves were lovely. 84 steps down, 84 steps back up, but they had arranged it all for us, and we got a tour guide, and it was very cool to see like the natural formations on the island. And then we got a couple hours at a beach, not the big one. We did not go to Horseshoe Bay, which everyone is like, oh my God, go there. Well, I don't really like people, so it was really nice to not be around everyone, you know, the entire island. So there were 2 cruise ships docked. So ours was the Norwegian Getaway, the Celebrity Summit, Solstice, I can't remember. But a Celebrity ship was docked as well, which meant we were fully boarded at 4,600. So they were somewhere around 3. So like 7,000 people descended on this island. The population is 60,000.
It's how many?
60 is in total. Wow. 60,000. So, I mean, obviously shore excursions booked up. Again, do what I do for clients, I don't do for myself. We booked our shore excursions and our travel insurance 2 weeks ahead, and that's not what we should be doing. But we ended up with some lovely tours. Everybody worked out great. But the catamaran sail, you know, we're on the Great Sound. We're tootling around. He's telling us about Oprah's house and about all of these different, you know, stories about these, because it's a celebrity getaway. Like it is.
I did not know that.
There's no paparazzi. It kind of stems from like the 40s and 50s where they needed again, out of New York, it's a relatively easy.
But what is the weather like there, like year round? Because I know, you know, cruising is typically summer through fall there. If you're going outside, if you're going out of New York, New Jersey area.
The weather seems like it was humid, but it wasn't as bad as the Caribbean. It was like low 80s, and they said it was the hottest that it had been all year. They say that the winter though isn't really fun. It's like 65, and you'll see Bermudians in a puffer jacket. We would love it, but you run into issues, I think, with the ocean. Like I think if you flew to Bermuda, it would be fine, and you could just chill on the beach. But no, the locals may think you're crazy because it feels cold. Because again, it is on that same latitude as North Carolina. So like,
interesting.
I'm guessing they do get a little bit of chill, but for us, it felt fine.
What about the pink sand? Is it really pink?
Okay, I don't know. They claim it's pink because there's like an algae and it's actually like dead animals or like some dead coral. They told us the whole story. I'm like, whatever, it's pretty. I did not see as pink of a beach. This happened in Jamaica too. They're like, oh, it's a white sand beach. I'm like, no, it's not. It is not as, so the pictures you see online are greatly exaggerated. Like it was beautiful, but it wasn't like Barbie pink. You know what I mean?
Right.
But it was pretty. But all the tours and all the stops got us into beaches that were not super crowded. In fact, the last beach that we were at on the caves and waves, we all got rained on, which is good. They needed rain because again, remember, they don't have any fresh water, so they have to take the rain in the rainy season, and it trickles down. All of the houses are whitewashed. In fact, it's a law that they have to be, the roofs have to be like stacked, and there's like these grooves. It goes through limestone, and then it goes into their cisterns, and they collect it for the dry season. So
that's amazing.
Yeah, or you have to have water delivered.
You learned a lot. You're like a little.
I did. We really did.
Encyclopedia right now.
We did. That's what we like to do. We like to do a little bit of adventure, but really we like to learn about the culture.
No, that's important. That's important.
That's part it's fun for us. But I will tell you one fun story. To see what questions you have. But like our sunset sail was the one that we tried to book, and I ended up going like to my third choice, which turned out great. Steve from Rising Sun Catamaran Sales, which I will be doing a review for here soon, was the owner of the company, and he's like getting us to check in. I did it through Viator. I'm not really familiar with their process, and he's like, I got you on a list somewhere. I'm sure you're fine. He said, this is great for you because there are 16 of you. And I said, okay. And he goes, this boat seats 60. So we had 16 people on a catamaran. So we all had great seats all up front. And they had to make.
So that must have been a small catamaran. Like so that means, was there standing room only? Like, would it?
No. You usually would have sat 60.
Oh, 60. Okay.
But there were only 16 of us.
Nice.
So we had plenty of room. They had to make enough rum. Rum swizzle is their version of like the rum drink, right? Rum and fruit juice. They had to make enough. They had to make a big batch of it. So the one complimentary one turned into as many as we could drink, which was lovely. But he's sailing us around, talking about all these houses. And at the end, or like halfway through, we're chatting with his deckhands. And I was like,
oh, there's Gadget. I'm sorry.
Gadget. Yes, he was at Grandma's while we were there. Gadget, you come say hi? She's like, no. So we're towards the end, and I'm like, oh my gosh, there's our cruise ship. Ha, wouldn't it be great for him to drop us off? Because I had chosen a cruise that went out of a different port. So there's like 3 ports on the island, and they're all like, an hour, half hour away from each other. It did not occur to me that Hamilton was that much of a drive, which was fine. We made it happen. But I was not looking forward to going back to Hamilton and then taking an hour and a $50 taxi cab back to our cruise ship. But I looked at the guy and I was like, oh, yeah, that's my cruise ship. You think you could drop us off? He goes, well, seeing as that's where this ship lives at night, that's where our mooring is. Yeah, you should ask the captain. And I go, okay. So I go to the captain and I go, hey, Steve, that's my cruise ship. Can you? Yeah. Thank you. So he then, we dropped everybody else off.
Oh, that's Hamilton. Funny.
And he was like,
back then, huh?
It was great. And he was like, okay, you're not paying me. Took his shirt off, took a beer. I was like, I don't care. But he tootled us back like the half hour down the sound and dropped us off, which was just lovely. As Mike said, though, Mike guesses that this happens quite a lot for a cruise ship. But it was so nice because he was great. We got more toodles around on the water at sunset, and it was beautiful. I highly recommend it. The Norwegian, like, we were comparing Norwegian and Royal, right? We haven't done Royal, if ever, but it seems like Royal is trying to do everything on the ship. You don't ever need to leave. So why do you care about the itinerary? Whereas Norwegian is like, yeah, we want you to have a good time on the ship. We got a couple of things for you to do, but we have really cool itineraries. And it seems like that's how they're splitting up, at least to us. And that's kind of how we're going to. That's how we would.
Did they have the Haven on this ship?
They did. They had their own. So the Haven is like the concierge level. There's also a Vibe Club, which is an adult-only area, which we did not do. Apparently, it gets bad reviews. We didn't do it. I kind of wanted to, though, because the free and the included all-adult area has smoking, as does the casinos, which I had kind of forgotten, because Disney doesn't, and neither does Virgin. Virgin has, it's all non-smoking inside.
I thought Norwegian had a smoking casino and a non on most ships.
Well, okay, maybe, but the problem is either it used to all be smoking, or the air handlers could not handle it. But you walk through that casino, and maybe people weren't actually smoking in the walkway part of the casino, but because there was a private casino, that had doors. but I was not happy with as much smoke. So if people are really susceptible to it, I'm like, you just can't walk through deck 7. And even then,
that would be me.
The atrium, the air handling goes all up and down, which is funny because Mike was wandering taking photos and he stumbled across the cigar room. And he didn't know it was a cigar room until he opened the door and went in and went, oh, great, this is cigars. But tell me why that was okay. He didn't smell it outside of the room, but he did in the casinos. It was weird. We did not do the casinos. I did not win anything at roulette like I did on the Virgin Cruise. Just didn't love the way that they do it, the minimum.
Did you do bingo?
We did not do bingo. Again, that was like, we did a couple of trivia things. But bingo is additional. And I don't know, that annoyed me. They do a deal or no deal, which is like a second bingo similar in addition to bingo. Yeah, people were doing that. The whole like lottery to win a free cruise, like that was everywhere.
Last time I did bingo was on a Carnival ship, but they did like the shortened, abbreviated version of it, and I had to get up and say I have BO.
Why?
I don't know why. That's so funny.
Because that's Carnival. Oh my
Lord. But I won money, and unbeknownst to me, the smoothies, I was underage. The smoothies and the non-alcoholic daiquiris that I was ordering cost money. And that I was passing out to my new friends. So I think my father and I both won at bingo, and that basically paid my smoothie / daiquiri tab.
Your bar tab.
Avoided me from like 6 months of punishment. So, because I was like, oh, let's stay with me. I'll get you a drink. Come on. It's Carnival. That was like the vibe. Everybody was just.
I will say they do have servers. Yeah. So they do have enough servers like kind of wandering at the pool deck and in the shows, right, at the casino and at the shows. So the shows were cute.
Do they have? I know they have. What were the shows?
They did the 90s. Yeah, it was Bring Back the 90s. So a dance show about that. And then there was a Broadway Rocks, which we did not see. It did not get very good reviews. We saw the International Crew Talent Show. Adorable.
Oh, that sounds adorable.
That was adorable. And then they brought all the crew out, like legit a representative from every crew. And they sang "We Are Norwegian Now." And I was like, okay, I'm in. I'm buying the t-shirt. However, their merchandise sucks. It was not Disney level. I tried to buy something and I just could not bring myself to do it. It was poor quality t-shirts, corksicle knockoffs, not very cute. And I was like, no, we're not doing this. So we bought a Bermudan ornament to represent the trip.
And see, everywhere we go, that's my thing. Like, as long as I can get an ornament, taking our tree from a place we've been, that's our family thing. So
that's what we do. Yeah,
that's my favorite part.
But I will tell you the last little bit of getting off the ship. So when we went down the Hudson, we were on the correct side to see Lady Liberty. That meant coming back, we were on the other side of the ship, right? So we saw the skyline. So Mike couldn't sleep, and he was actually up at like 1 or 2 a.m. when the captain told us we were going to be pulling into the harbor, which seems crazy to me. We were getting off at like 6 a.m. Why are we going to the harbor so early? But whatever. So he woke up and he watched that, and he turned on his phone because we know that we're in New York City, and he got the notification that our flight had been canceled. So our flight out of New York.
You had to be stuck.
So it was actually a blessing because I would have preferred that to them being delayed and delayed and delayed and then stuck in LaGuardia. So because of that, we then, what did I do? I'm our travel agent. So I went and I found our rooms at the same hotel at Ameritania because we liked it. And we knew that we could go there, we could drop bags and then go explore. So we did that. They rebooked us the next morning. It wasn't great. Again, the problem was my mom and her friend were traveling on a separate record locator on Delta than we were. So they routed through Atlanta. We routed through Detroit, but she came with us to the airport anyway. But we got to spend another day in New York. We went to the History Museum, saw the dinosaurs and the gems. And we then went to a Italian place. Probably a little bit too touristy because it was in the Ed Sullivan Theater. right next to the Late Show. But pasta was great. Pizza was great. Just kind of chilled. And then a very early flight the next morning, we the doorman arranged for a black SUV to pick us up. So it was like not a taxi, and it was a guaranteed price. And like, again, just like that conversation with the team on site was really helpful. But yeah, we came back Monday morning. I then brought all the luggage home, dropped off Mike, and then went to go pick up Mom, who had just landed. So it was a big rigmarole. But we will be sending all of that information, all that additional, those 2 nights in hotels, the extra cab to Manhattan, and that dinner. We're going to be sending that to travel insurance or to Delta.
Nice.
We'll do Delta first because they did ask for it. And then the next one, the backup, is the travel insurance. So again, every time I leave America, I have travel insurance.
Right.
Because you know what? I always end up using it. So, yeah. But we stayed up that.
The big joke in my family is that it's not a family vacation unless somebody's gotten hurt or is in the hospital or is ill. No. I know. It hasn't really happened, to the extent that it used to happen when I was a child in my immediate family. But I will say, like, this is not something to laugh at, but last time we were on vacation, I had a choking incident and I have the EMTs called. So, yes. Let's just say I bit into a very dry chicken sandwich and had an experience. So
no,
the EMTs though for the win.
There you go.
I mean, my husband did the Heimlich, but then like they were there within like minutes.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was so embarrassing. But you never know. So it's always better to prepare. But that's why whenever we go away, it's like, what's the nearest hospital? What's the nearest urgent care? If we're traveling internationally, we have medical coverage through insurance.
Now I know why you mentioned that in our last preparing call, like personal experience.
Well, my family's very accident prone. I mean, we got to our Disney vacation villa. My brother was probably 3 or 4 years old. He opened the door. This is just one example of many, by the way. He opened the door, and then at the time they had glass coffee tables with very sharp edges. So he just ran, tripped over his own 2 feet, and then like cut his eye right here, and it just missed, and he needed stitches. But that was like the introduction to our family vacation. But we have all kinds of stories about this, of something happening. My parents just returned from Italy, and I'm super excited to hear about this experience my father had, because apparently he got locked in the bathroom at the Vatican.
What?
I mean, my father is he's a walking caricature, and that's why we love him so much. He's also the only man that I've ever met that can emote in all vowels. Ooh. So it's just, he's hilarious. So I can't wait to hear about this.
We need to hear the story next week. We need to hear the getting locked in the bathroom of the Vatican.
Yeah.
Story.
So the moral of the story is, travel insurance.
Always. Yeah. I actually, before we got on here, I was sending an email because a client is due to travel later tonight to go to, a number of countries in Europe. And the rail changed. And so we were waiting for the documents to be updated. And I made sure that one, and then another one who is in Portugal right now. The reason I didn't get very good sleep Sunday into Monday, in addition to an early flight, is I was watching her flight taxi, because this is someone who we loved working with. Our destination partner suggested this routing through a direct from Newark to Porto. Again, those not paying attention, Newark has had some issues with air traffic controllers and delays. And so we were really anxious to make sure that this flight gets out, and it kept getting delayed. It got delayed like 4 hours.
From Newark?
From Newark.
I just flew out of there. We had no problems. Because the runway is open again, so that's interesting.
Yeah, I don't know if it was an aircraft issue. So again, Mike is like digging into FlightAware, being like, okay, the bird landed and it's on the ground, and like we're like waiting, and it's like we're literally watching them on FlightAware. I just wanted to make sure that they were done. So I waited up till like 10 o'clock Eastern just to make sure they were in the air. It's just not that I could do anything, but
I know you're like me. I'm so anxious. I always text people. I just want to know they're having a good time.
Well, the good news is that this particular family is already sending me photos. They had a great time. A little bit of a hiccup at the hotel, taken care of. The destination team is taking care of them. And they've got private tours. They've got private transfers from one city to another. They are having the time of their lives. And so she sent me a reel that's like, I don't know, something about booking your next vacation while you're on vacation. And I was like, where do you want to go, friend? Let's go. And she goes, well, we're going to Italy. And I was like, what are our dates? So,
awesome. So what was your favorite part? Like, I mean, you had quite the adventure between
New
York City. You guys saw Broadway. You saw a Broadway show. You saw the
Gene
Smart show, right?
Yeah, Gene Smart is in a one-woman limited run show. Yes, we saw that.
And then between that, the cruise, the extra day. Which, by the way, kudos to you for even attempting to go home the day you get off a cruise ship. I did not want to do that last time. I was like, nope.
I know. I thought about that, and we actually, funny story, we thought about adding a day in New York on the back end. Well, hold my beer.
Oh, you got it.
Yeah. I don't know. I think the juxtaposition of like the adventure itself, our family tends to do adventures. We don't tend to just, one side of us will go to Disney and we'll go on a cruise. Like that's kind of that level of adventure. But my mom and our family, we've always been this, I don't know, let's go on an adventure. So the juxtaposition to seeing on Friday night was International Day of Yoga because it was the solstice. So there was hundreds of people doing yoga in Times Square that we got to see. If I had known that, I would have signed up if I had been able to. But like that juxtaposition between that and then the chill of the water. And like, I love a cruise because your hotel goes with you. Like, I just love that idea. Honestly, like I love the ease of just navigating the ship. It was so easy to get into dinners, easy to get into shows.
Now, is this in terms of Norwegian, the size of their ships? What is this? Is this like their mid-range? They typically have Disney size ships, right? They cap out around 4,000, 4,500.
As of now, yeah. So the new Prima ships that are coming, there's a couple that are already out and more that are coming. They are, again, leaning away from what Royal is doing and like putting everything on the ship. They're actually keeping the ships the same, but they're decreasing the passenger count.
Okay.
By like 1,000. So we traveled with 1,100 under 21s. Out of 4,600 people, a quarter of them were kids.
Oh, wow.
That's fine. Yeah. It is very different than Virgin. Like it's just not adult only. So had we been able to get the Haven, that might have been nice. Obviously, additional costs for concierge, or had we been able to do
the Haven allows kids.
True, yeah, but just the ratio of space to person. Like I went up to the adult only area, not the paid for Vibe Club, but the back of the ship, and I couldn't find a spot. It was smoking all over. And so I will say the one negative of Norwegian that we noticed is the service was like when you saw a bar, you would see 3 obvious places for a bartender, right? 3 stations.
Right.
But only 2 bartenders.
Okay.
Everywhere. It felt like they needed one more person in every place.
More.
But if you think about it, everybody's on the drink package. So perhaps that, like, because it was really full. So yeah, the size of the ship was about a Disney ship. It felt bigger than the Fantasy.
Okay.
Yeah, it was bigger than the Fantasy. But easy to find your way around. Ironically, you know how Disney people were complaining about getting rid of the midship elevators?
Yes.
Okay, remember that? Guess what? Guess what the Norwegian does not have?
Midship elevators.
Midship elevators. It was just fine. It was just fine. Like people just they you find things that you love, right?
People are gonna just complain about something. I mean, it is what it is, and people get set in their ways. And if you're used to something, and then something new doesn't have something that you loved on the other, version of the ship, then people get annoyed by that. I mean, it's understandable.
But it's really great because now we have a system. Now we understand. Oh, the getting off the ship also was great. Again, like Disney is so regimented that you have to go to your dining location from the night before and get out. Basically, and we were blessed because, again, as travel agents, sometimes we get special thank you gifts for our business. And so sometimes, there was like a bottle of champagne in our room. Some of those things we couldn't tell what was a gift to us as a nice little bonus, or what was because Mike has sailed with them before. So sometimes there was treats because he's got status. We got priority disembarkation, and so I don't know which one that was from, but it was nice because if we had decided to do the check your bags, let the porters take care of it, we would have until midnight to put out our bags instead of 10, and they would have been first off, and we could have done. They call your tags, but we would have been first off anyway. So we ended up doing. We said we were going to self walk because we didn't have that many bags, but it meant that we got to leave our bags in our room until like 8. We went to breakfast at 7, and then went back up to our rooms, grabbed our bags, and then they were already calling people, so we had a priority disembarkation, and so off we went.
By the way, we're terrible at that. We are the ones that like miss the, on Disney they have the goodbye show. We usually miss that because we're literally
everything. There's a goodbye show? I didn't see it.
Oh yeah, it's really cute. Mm-hmm. It's on. Every ship is different, so it's usually in the Grand Hall. And every ship is different on the Wish. It's all about wishes and dreams and all that. It's kind of like they recap that. On the Treasure, it was themed around adventure, but usually all the characters come out, and then a lot of times they'll do like extra character meets at the end of it. It's really cute. It's usually about 15 minutes at the end of the night. I'm trying to think about, I want to say like after the second dinner service, so later, so like 9:30, 10 o'clock. Because it has to be after the second dinner service concludes
to make sure everyone can see it.
Yeah.
I will say that I liked that the whole shtick of Norwegian is freestyle, right? You kind of go whenever. You can make reservations,
right?
Or you can just show up. I will say if you're specialty dining, you do need reservations, and I should have booked those earlier. So we will do that next time, especially for clients. But I liked being able to just walk up to the main dining room and be like, "I'd like dinner, please, for 4."
Yeah,
now, when we were
nice.
our large group of 15, John made a reservation because we were such a big party.
Right.
But for the 4 of us, we just walked up and never waited more than like 10 minutes.
I mean, that's why my first question, and I know it's your first question when you get people interested in cruising, is, what type of experience do you want to have? What are your expectations? Because it's just different. I have people that only want to do Disney. I have people that only want to do cruise lines that offer that freestyle kind of experience because they don't want to be scheduled.
Yeah.
I will say, Disney, the highlight of the Disney cruises and having it scheduled is, their rotational dining is so excellent that it's something you don't want to miss. But I did note that on our last cruise that, it would have been nice to have a little bit more time to kind of experience the excursions before we had to rush back and shower and change for dinner. But
now what I don't know is, so our cruise ship docked at Bermuda for 3 days, right? It was our hotel. We at some point we got done with an excursion and we're like, oh, do we want to go to that bar over there? And I'm like, no, I'm going to go to the buffet that's free on the ship. I paid for that. I'm going to go on the ship. So we also spent a lot of time on the ship in port, but I don't know. I think it would be even more helpful if you're going port to port and know that oh, I need another 15 minutes to do my hair after, being in the ocean. I don't have to rush for dinner because I can just go pop in.
No, that's nice. That's a nice experience. I think it just depends on what you're looking for, what your family dynamics are. Like my children are young, so I can't imagine, I need the kind of scheduling, and they really love Disney, so it just makes sense for us.
It works out.
So and the service is excellent, so.
I will say the food was not amazing. Everything I ate on a Disney cruise, I adored. Everything on the buffet was fabulous. Obviously, Mickey waffles and all the things. The Norwegian buffet was okay. It was serviceable. There were some good things. Not a lot of salt and pepper, not a lot of seasoning, right? Until we got to the curry day, and then it was great.
Right.
They had like a Jamaican theme night, and Mike had a pretty okay
cute.
Jamaican patty. Yeah, it was cute. The main dining room, the first night was great. The others were okay. And then we did the step up to the specialty. Le Bistro is a not to miss. It was incredible. Like I said, one of the best steaks I've had on a cruise ship. And then, ironically, Cagney's is their fancy steakhouse because I chose both expensive ones, of course. Because why not?
I've heard nothing but good news. I've had people that I have people that just exclusively cruise Norwegian, and they love Cagney's. That's like their go-to.
I was not impressed. John had a really long service experience too.
Really?
So
that's a shame.
But everybody can have an off night. So the food was good. So if we do Norwegian again, I would look at the ports and see how often. If we were going to do the Bermuda cruise again, I would probably be okay with 2 specialty dinings because I would want to go spend more time on the island. Eating at the Swizzle Inn, eating at all of the local places, which we did eat one place. We had sushi on the island. So I probably would be okay with just 1 specialty dining. Again, if you're really into food, I don't know if Norwegian is the best option unless you commit to the specialty dining for all of it.
Right. What was Bermuda like in terms of their cuisine? I know you just had the sushi, but are they known for anything? I know you said they had it's a UK territory, but you said you had mentioned earlier they have a specialty kind of cocktail.
Yeah, they had the rum swizzle, which is basically their version of a Mai Tai with just a single rum. Or like it's a rum punch as well.
So it's a very rum based, kind of like the Caribbean, where like rum is like the
exactly. It's the home of Goslings, and so the original Dark and Stormy, like how you make a Dark and Stormy, is Goslings and ginger beer. Like that's the recipe.
Okay.
Yeah. So Goslings is from there. They were one of like the original families that settled the island. We didn't go into any like of the local places, and we should have. But we were doing so many Easter excursions, which is why we shouldn't have done so many. But they've got a lot of fish. It's just a lot of fish, yeah. But there's no natural, like I said, there's not like a natural hog. There's not a cow. Like it's
crazy.
Everything
gets imported.
Yeah.
Wow.
They do. Isn't that crazy?
Well,
but we had a great
time.
On
my bucket list. Hopefully we get there one day.
Tracy, I would do this itinerary in a heartbeat again with you.
Right.
Like you would love it.
Yeah, no, except I love the idea of like going somewhere. Like I love getting off a cruise ship and exploring a new place every day, or just staying on the ship or going to a private island or something like that. But I also love the idea of being on a ship for like a few straight days and getting that kind of out of your system, and then docking in a place and literally using the ship as a hotel and kind of exploring everything, so you don't have to like lug anything off and repack. And you can just have a few days to explore. The other, I think this is the only itinerary along with the Hawaiian Norwegian cruise, the Pride of America, that does something like that, where you're literally in port for the majority of your time, and it's essentially like it's a hotel, and you can kind of explore the Hawaiian islands.
Yeah, the Pride they do 4 ports in 8 days, so you get at least 1 night in port. So you can do overnights. You can do the sunset sails. You can do things that you couldn't do. Like if you go to Jamaica or you go to the Caribbean, you go to Bahamas, you're not going to get a nighttime thing because you're already back on the ship. So it is a fabulous idea for an itinerary. It's just your point of getting the sea days out of the way. And then by the time we got to Bermuda, I was ready to see land. So.
Well, I am looking forward to seeing all of your pictures.
Yes, we have 700 items. So I'm going to do a couple of reels. I did not get as many pictures of everything I ate because honestly, some of it wasn't very photogenic. So whatever. I don't think I even have I have a picture of a Prosecco, me drinking Prosecco on the veranda, the balcony.
You're so funny. I mean, Jimmy and I always joke, like, you definitely know your age, but when you start taking pictures of all your food.
Yeah, it's because they need a place. So we're going to start going day by day. I'm going to do it on my personal, if anybody's friends with me personally, but also going to do it on Team Labo, just so a couple more just general recaps. And then I'll probably start sprinkling some tips in our the cruising
amazing
group. But yeah,
well,
thanks for listening to me. Thanks for listening.
dying to get in the pool because it's hotter than the surface of the sun right now.
Yes, you should go. We're approaching an hour, and I've got clients traveling today, so I need to go check in on them and see how they're doing.
But we'll probably be back at our regular time next week.
I hope so.
And sans or less
regular
technical difficulties, hopefully. Yeah, regular day.
No,
regular day.
I think we did great. I think we did great. All right. Well, we're going to wrap up from here. Thank you for joining the wonderful pair. Hope you enjoyed this wonderful episode. Be sure to subscribe wherever you get to podcasts so you never miss an episode. And I think we're on Spotify now. So yay. And don't forget to follow us for all that travel inspiration on social media. So take some time. Go make some travel memories. Go hop in the pool. We'll see y'all soon.
We hope you have a great week, guys. Take care.
Bye.